we have some below average and above average golf moments of the week. Caleb's shaking his head. Caleb, I will let you kick it off here.
Yeah. I need to figure out what's going on.
Oh no.
My below average golf moment of the week is hitting Hosel rockets that were not rockets. So I don't know. I couldn't figure it out. I tried a couple things. I was able to play yesterday. With a couple guys from work, which that's probably my above average was just, I played a new course that I haven't played in a really long time. I played Whispering Hills, right off of Brookville Road in New Pal. Don't think I've played there since high school. And I was telling one of the guys that I work with that I played with, I played there in high school, and the kid that I was playing with, he was really cool. Like, we were going back and forth pretty much the whole round. As far as scores go, like, I'd get him by one, he'd get me by one or whatever. And on our last hole, we both were in greenside bunkers. And I chipped in, I think, for birdie from the sand. And so it was kind of like hey, like, I'm going to get him, and it was good competition, but I'm going to beat him. And what do you know, like, he chips in too. So, it was one of those where it was just a good round, but I haven't played it since then.
That was like Rory and Morikawa at the Masters,
Right.
where they both chipped in from the sand, and that was
Yeah.
like one of the best moments of all time. But
Right.
anyways,
But yeah, and that just was not going on this weekend. I felt it too. Like, I felt it almost as if it was coming off the club, like the shaft itself. Like, I wasn't even hitting the face.
wow.
Like, it was that bad. I had some good shots, like, don't get me wrong, but my misses were, the Hosel rockets that, I hit a really nice drive on a par 5, had a 9-iron in, and for whatever reason that happened, and it only went like 50 yards on a full swing, went 50 yards and sliced, probably 30 yards to the right. Like, it was terrible.
Wow.
Yeah. So, like, it was either that or I just pulled everything, like a dead left pull. So yeah, my below average was pretty much my entire round. The other day. Now, above average was being able to have fun with the guys. I had never played with, two of them before, so it was fun to get them out. But yeah, I'm hoping that yours is a little better than mine as far as both below and, above, because it was a rough weekend, man. Like, I texted you and I said, like, my swing is broken. Like, I really felt like it was broken.
Yeah, when you told me it, I was very, like, I'm concerned right now. I'm like, this isn't Caleb. This is not the Caleb that I know. Like, we call ourselves below average golfers, but a lot of the time Caleb's an above average golfer, and it is like, it's just kind of a little depressing, because I'm like, I know what you're going through with it, and I can feel that a little bit, because I'm just like, man, that's not Caleb. That is not Caleb. The real Caleb is somewhere. He's those bombs off the tee and getting on the green regulation, and you just didn't have that round. But I think it's, that's part of it, right? That's why when we're calculating, when we're calculating handicaps, you take your best 8 of 20. Like, there's a lot of rounds that aren't calculated in that, and that's because, when you think of that, like, we're not even taking 50% of our best rounds.
Yeah,
like we're literally taking a smaller percentage of that. So you're gonna have those rounds from time to time, and at the end of the day, you probably had a better round than most people do. But that's okay.
I think so the par out there was only 34, which was interesting.
Really?
So I ended up shooting, I think, an 89, which I guess I could say that that's probably my above average. Is like, I felt like I was just losing everything, but for me, I still broke 90, which I've said on here before, like, my expectations for myself are probably a little bit higher than what they need to be. I need to be more like Lou, where I manage those expectations.
For sure.
But, like, I consider 90 like a very bad day for me. And the fact that I was still able to break that, I guess, like, it was comforting in the fact that, like, okay, I played like absolute crap today, but I still did the one thing that I, like, tell myself don't do. So it was a very up and down, humbling experience where it's like, I need to figure this out, and I need to figure it out quick.
Right. Well, you'll get it. We're going to start shooting on the course content, and we're planning on going out this Thursday to do that, and we're gonna get figured out. We've got some content to shoot, and I think we're both gonna put on for the camera. So
For sure.
you'll be good. You'll be good. That's all you gotta tell yourself. You'll be good.
Yeah.
So okay, I have multiple, and I'm just gonna kind of throw them all out there because it was a very interesting week for golf for me. So number one, so I'm starting to do these range sessions. I'm starting to practice my game a lot more, and it's going pretty well. I mean, it's not too overwhelming. It's not too. We'll talk. You'll hear in the conversation on Thursday. It sounds like there's some things I'll probably need to change about it just because of some of the tips and tricks that we got from Scott. But listen to that podcast to hear more on that. But either way, it's working, and I'm feeling improvement from that. But as a part of that, I went to the range on Tuesday, and I think I texted you afterwards, and I'm like, wish me luck. I'm playing in a scramble this weekend, and I cannot figure out my swing. Like it was terrible. Like I'm on the range and I'm trying to figure out my driver. Like driver's been giving me tons of issues. I'm trying different things that I've looked up. I'm trying like focusing on either slowing it down or focusing on different parts of my swing, because I do have a ridiculous slice right now that I'm trying to figure out. And on Tuesday, I mean, dude, I'm popping the ball up 50 yards up off the tee, like 50 yards up. And I'm like, almost, I felt so bad. There was somebody pretty close to me. And there was one where I was like, I might have killed him if he was in the wrong spot, because I just could not, like, I wasn't even slicing it. Like I just could not hit the ball. And the frustration built up. It carried over. Like I was blading every wedge that I tried to hit. I wasn't hitting my irons the right way. And it was just a terrible session. And I was feeling pretty down, because it's like, most of the time when I go on the range, I have my swing figured out. It's more repeatable. It becomes muscle memory quicker because you're doing a lot more. You're hitting 100 balls in a very short time period versus on the course. You know, if you're breaking 100, you're hitting, hypothetically, you're probably only hitting 70 balls, because a lot of those come on the green, 20 or so putts. So it's just a different thing. So you're able to dial in your swing a little bit, and I just could not. And it was the first time using my Garmin, and like the stats on it were just terrible. And I was just feeling super down on myself. And so I didn't play golf the rest of the week. And I went out to the outing. It didn't have a range for the outing. Oof. And so I didn't really have any opportunity to warm up. But somehow, some way, I was hitting the ball better than I've hit all season. And it's like, of course,
funny how that works, right?
It's funny how it works, but it's like, I must have figured something out. I don't know what happened, but of course it's a scramble. So you always kind of take things with a grain of salt. But at the end of the day, like my problem was contact earlier in the week, and somehow I was hitting it better. I did make a slight adjustment on I have a Sim 2 driver right now. And I made a slight adjustment on it based on a Rick Shields video that I didn't know that you could do. That's why you go get fit for your clubs, which I'm planning on doing. But I didn't know that you could do it, and it helps with slice. And I was making great contact with the ball. I still had a couple of like slices, but it wasn't the ridiculous slice that I'm used to, because the adjustment I made closed the club face more. And a couple things that I focused on with my swing help close it a little more, and my misses were more on the left side, which was nice. Like I will take my misses on the left, because I hate the misses on the right so bad. So that felt good. And then I would say my most above average golf moment from that is I'm reading the 4 Foundations of Golf, and a strategy that I've learned in there, which we'll talk about when we interview John Sherman, which we have on the books. So look forward to that. But one of the things that I learned was aiming, not pin hunting, but more of aiming for the center of the green and playing more towards the back of the green, which I've never done. I've always been like, well, it's going to roll out, or I'm just going to, seek the pin. And I started, I hit, again, even though it was a scramble, I was hitting more greens and regulations with that strategy. And I had a 5 iron from, I don't know what the distance was, but gave us like a 4-foot putt for eagle.
Nice.
And that was all because of the strategy. I wasn't pin hunting, and just naturally I was finding the green a lot better and putting ourselves in good position. So that's what stands out there. And then I have to throw out these two little things on above and below average. Below average moment, had a tee time this morning with my wife. We get out there, we're sitting in the parking lot, and it is just torrential downpour, and the round does not happen. So have nothing to share from that. So below average moment is the weather,
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature. But above average moment, my wife is working on her game, and something clicked. I'm starting to pick up better on swing mechanics and kind of what all goes into a golf shot better than I've ever, or a golf swing, I should say, better than I ever had before. And I noticed something with my wife's swing, and we're hitting balls in our backyard now, and all of a sudden she just starts making better contact with like one little tip. She's able to get the ball up in the air. Like, that's huge progress kind of from where we're at. So that's my above average golf moment there, is becoming Coach Owen a little bit. And who knows, maybe I'll be a PGA instructional pro one day.
Those are always fun because, like, I play with Gare Bear a lot, like, and I'll see things, that I think, okay, maybe this will tie in, maybe it won't, let's try this, let's not do that kind of thing. And there's been a couple times where it's like, hey, I know one instance is he was struggling with his driver one day. And, we get to a little bit midway through the round, and I'm like, hey, like, I just saw something this week. Like, I wonder if this will work. So I'm like, all right, set up like you would. Let's make this little adjustment. And so I told him, and he just barreled one down the fairway. And I was like, yep, that's that. Yep, that seems about right. Like, maybe we should keep trying that kind of thing. So it's like those moments where you feel like you can help somebody, it's always like, nice. Like, let's go.
For sure. Yeah. You do a great job at that, because you've helped me with some things, and like that's why I love playing with you. Like, I don't expect you to do it, and it's never a part of like, I'm not like, Caleb. Well, actually, I take that back. There's sometimes where I'm like, Caleb, what am I doing? But sometimes you'll just have like, oh, I noticed that, like, try this. And we had a little moment with the chipping during our round with the scramble a couple weeks ago. So yeah,
now,
that's
I will
great.
say one little nugget apart from helping Owen. Something that I would not suggest, which I am very guilty of it. Owen has said that he didn't drive the ball that great in the outing. And he went to the driver, brought out the tool, and adjusted in the middle of the round. I would advise against that. I'm not a professional by any means. But I felt for him when he did it. As soon as he pulled it out, I was talking, I forget, maybe to Dad, and I was like, oh yeah, like, I've been there. And I was like, it should help in theory, but it definitely, I don't think does. And so it's like, I remember I've been there. Like, I'm tempted to do it all the time. Like, okay, I need to close my face, or I'm really hooking the ball, I need to open it up a little bit. And I'm just like, okay, hold on. Maybe I need to try something else before I just go straight to the club. And that day, like, it was one of those where it was like, man, this is hilarious to me because I've been there and I know how he feels. It's not hilarious because he's, not driving the ball like he wants to, but it was one of those where I just kind of like put my head down, and I was hoping that you didn't notice, which I don't think you did.
No, I didn't, but I have that feeling through my head because, like, I've seen it done before, and like, you magically think like, oh, I'm making this adjustment, and especially mid round, it's perfect. But it's like, oh, this is gonna solve my slice. It's like, no, actually, it's probably making it worse. But
probably
the actual, like, the adjustment I made was educated this time around, was educated, and not during a round,
not mid round where you're just kind of making a snap decision.
Exactly. So yeah, that felt pretty good. So oh my gosh. Okay, I thought of one last thing. I'm gonna throw it in here at the end of the episode. Below average moment. So we're on the last hole, and it's gettable. It's like 260. So I was hitting the driver really well, and but I'm carrying it further than 260 at this point. So I bring out 3 wood, And I absolutely get a hold of a 3-wood and I go, that's on. I said it out loud. I'm a pretty quiet person in certain scenarios on the course, but I called my shot and I go, that's on. Here's the thing. We get up to the green and we can't find my balls. So I check the hole. It's not there.
Right.
And then next thing you know, I'm like, well, I'm never calling my shot again until I absolutely see that it landed somewhere where I think it landed. And it was weird because like some, my playing partners in that saw the shot and they thought it was good and where it was tracking was good, and it just kind of disappeared. So I either carried it or might have left it short and it just took a bad bounce somewhere. But
yeah,
never call your shot unless you're 100% confident, because that was a little embarrassing to be like, well, that's good. And the next thing you know, you're letting down everybody else because you thought you were on the green and you're not. So
yeah, I kind of felt that a little bit with Whispering Hills. Like it is a very short course. Like I'm telling you, I'm not, this is not me knocking or, tooting my own horn by any means. Like it happened. Like I could have driven probably, it's a 9-hole course.
mm-hmm.
There's 1, 2, 3 par 3s, 1 par 5. So I probably could have driven 4 out of the 5 par 4s. Like
Jeez.
it is a short course.
Yeah.
And on one of them it was 260, and I didn't want to hit driver because if I did catch a good bounce, then it's gone, over there's a little woods behind that particular hole. So I was like, I can't do it there. But I pulled out my 4-wood, and the guys that I was playing with were giving me a hard time. Like, oh man, I wish I was good enough that to club down on a par 4. And I'm like, you got to understand, like, this is a short hole. Like, if anything, I want to be short of the hole because I don't want to be long. But they were definitely giving me the business as far as like, oh yeah, maybe one day I'll be able to club down on a par 4. And I'm like, I promise you, it's not what you think. Because I ended up, I hit the par 4, or I hit my 4-wood, and I was still like, 20 yards short of the green. So it's not like I knew that it was going to get there. It was a little uphill. So it's like, I knew I wasn't going to get there. It was just a matter of like, I know that driver is too much. And I wasn't trying to be, big dog or by any means.
Right.
It was funny.
Yeah. No, I get that. And yeah, I just don't call your shot.
Don't call your shot.
Don't call your shot. In a scramble specifically, because it impacts everybody else, because everybody else is like, well, I'll just swing for the fences, or I'll just do this.
Yeah.
That was just a bad moment on my end, but it felt so good. And the way that it was tracking, I was like, how is that not on? And it's like, right, well, there's something that doesn't like
there's
me,
probably a couple factors.
Yeah. So